they dumped Carlos Correa for literally nothing in return, and beyond that, had to pay $33 million to the Houston Astros to take back one of the most beloved players in Houston Astros history. They received essentially nothing in return. We'll talk about that in a little bit. And that in itself is shocking. But then even beyond the Correa thing, you mentioned at the very beginning, they essentially dismantled the entire bullpen. They traded their 5 top relief pitchers, including, some really heavy artillery guys. Jhoan Duran, Griffin Jax, Louie Varland, Brock Stewart, and then the aforementioned Danny Coulombe was the 5th. I've never seen that before, and I'm certain that's never happened, that big of a cut where you took a pretty good bullpen with some very good high-level guys. I'd put the top 5 of the Twins bullpen pretty much up against any bullpen as of a week ago, let's say.
Right.
And they traded all of it.
And all of them under team control past this year, except for Coulombe.
Right, and that's
the bigger thing.
Part of the shock, too, is, Duran, Jax, and Brock Stewart each had 2 additional seasons beyond this one under team control via the arbitration process. And then Louie Varland, who that one, to me, was by far the biggest shocker of the whole thing. And it was actually the last deal to come in right at the deadline or right after the deadline. People were aware of it. He's under team control through 2030 and won't even be past minimum salary for another year after this one. Right. And so the combination of that, and they ended up trading a total of 5 players, Correa and then the relievers that we just talked about, who have at least 2 or more additional seasons of team control. Correa had 3, Louie Varland had 5, and it's that part, the impending free agents didn't surprise me one bit, and I don't think there's anything remarkable about what they got for them. But then once you clear that off the plate and you start to eat the rest of it, there was just so much weirdness and unexpectedness, and then ultimately, weirdness and unexpectedness, that's not necessarily a bad thing. But I think we both, in the moment when we recorded a show on the Patreon side, basically like 2 hours after the deadline or 3 hours after the deadline, whatever it was, and then even having a couple of days to let it settle and think about it more and talk to more people about it and read up on some of the prospects and everything like that, I still feel the same way, which is ultimately setting aside the shock of it and the rebuild versus retool and the fire sale and how bad the baseball is going to be for the next 2 months. I just don't think they got enough value back in the majority of the non-impending free agent trades.